Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.
Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin ya Rabbil Alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So today, I know that for the last few sessions we've been going over specific surahs in the Quran, and we've been going ayah by ayah, and we've been talking about so the lesson is derived from the ayah. Today I think I wanted to change track a little bit, and talk about something that's been on my mind for a while, especially after coming to live in a Western country. Some challenges that I faced raising children in a Western country, and I think this is a question or challenge that many parents face. And today I feel this challenge is not limited to Western countries at all. It's a question that's asked. It's a challenge that's faced worldwide. How do I raise children properly to be good Muslims in today's world, in the modern world, right? And I think this is a discussion that I need to have with you guys, and parents need to have with their children, and among themselves, and adults need to discuss more and come up with profound solutions to what is happening to not just generations that are like the youth themselves or children themselves, but even among adults, the trends that are happening. What are some of the biggest challenges that are pushing Muslims away from what our book has told us, and our Prophet has taught us, towards more what we call modernized Islam, or modernized, one thing that you guys will notice, and I think that you guys, even though you're very young, you are old enough to understand that even in cultures that are not Islamic, there are, all cultures across the world have things that conform with Islam, right? So you go to school in this country, what do they teach you? Say thank you, say please, right? Good manners conforms with my religion, right? My religion teaches me good manners, and it's a very important topic in my religion, correct? You go to any other country, good manners, it's just the social norm is good manners. You say please, you say thank you, you be polite, you don't steal, you don't hurt, you don't, all of these kind of things that are thought to be bad across the world. I don't think you'll find a culture or a country where they'll say, hey, you know what, being mean is okay, everybody's mean, or hurting someone is okay, or stealing is okay, or taking something that doesn't belong to you by force is okay. It's not. So across the world, you'll find things that conform with your religion, but then you will also find things that don't conform with your religion, and that again is global, across cultures, across religions, across nations. You'll go to every place and you'll find something. Even in Muslim countries today, you'll find things that don't conform with what Islam truly tells us to do. Do you understand what I'm saying? Today's world, the challenge 20 years ago was different. It was, how do I raise a child in a Western country, right? How can I, even being in an environment that is not typically Islamic, how do I raise good Muslims to be good Muslims, teach them the correct tarbiyah, and manners, and essentially enable them to differentiate between halal and haram, and good and bad, and so forth. Today that question is worldwide. It's global, right? There's no doubt about it. Every country in the world, parents are asking the same question. Parents who want to raise their children as good Muslims, how do I even do that? Where do I even start? So what's the issue? The issue is there's distractions, right? If you go look outside, or even look in your own home, you go to your TV, how many platforms are there for you to watch?
4.
Name them.
Netflix, YouTube, Prime Video, USB.
So if one isn't working, then the other one is there. If one isn't working, you can always go to the next one and keep watching. So there's non-stop entertainment for you on TV. If you're bored, you have nothing else to do, what do you have? TV. But it's not like you're watching TV all day. You're going to school, you're having meals, you're going to sleep, you're doing certain classes that you need to do. You are doing certain things that you need to do. But then what's missing from all of that, the moment that you're free, you're going to
TV.
Entertainment, right?
We
And that's not your fault. That's how the world is progressing, what the world is progressing towards, and that's how it's become. Entertainment like Netflix, it's just, oh, you don't watch Netflix? That's very uncommon. You don't know what Netflix is, that you don't know what Facebook is, you don't know what Instagram is, you don't know that there's a platform called YouTube and you can search for anything you ever want to see and you can find it there and watch it. Endless streams of videos about God knows what that you can watch on and on and on and on and on. Right? All of that means that essentially you pack them all together, what you need to do and what you want to do. You don't have the time, or your brain is just fried enough that you don't have the space in your brain to do what, to feed your soul. Right? And then you go to school. And then there's a whole new problem. The different kind of influences there. Peer pressure. Friends from different cultures, from different religions. Even friends from the same religion will influence you towards
other
things that are because they're also influenced, and then they're also influenced, and so on and so forth. It's become one global issue.
A lot of my friends in my class are pulling me somewhere which I know that we're not supposed to be going.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. So then, when we are faced with this question, and we come across this challenge, I think what most parents are doing, most teenagers are thinking, or most adults are thinking, is what are the steps that I need to take to be able to feed my soul? Oh, I need to read Quran, I need to pray, I need to go to the masjid, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to better my behavior, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the most. Do you think that's something they said about?
And so what does that become? When I'm thinking about what steps do I need to take, what does that become? It becomes a list. You tick that list off and you think you've achieved what you need to achieve. But essentially what we're not doing is we're not thinking about what is the end goal. Where do we want to end? What's our objective? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when I'm sitting down to eat lunch, what's my objective?
So your hunger goes away.
There's an end goal. It's not the activity that you're doing, it's why you're doing it. That's more important.
And also, if you don't even eat, you can't even survive.
Sure, definitely. That's the end goal, right? That's a larger umbrella goal. But essentially, if you're not hungry, but you're still sitting down to eat, or you're full and you're still sitting down to eat, then have you lost the initiative? You've lost the initiative. The reason why you're doing that activity doesn't exist. So the activity invalidates itself. You understand what I'm saying? It just doesn't stand. Why are you even eating if you're full? You just had breakfast at 12 p.m. noon. You woke up at 11:30, you had breakfast at 12, and you sit down for lunch at 1. Does that make sense? No, because you're full. The objective is moot.
Anyway, if you're full, you wouldn't even want to eat.
But you still do it, let's say. Does that make sense? No. So the question is, when we're not thinking about the end goal, then the activities that we're doing may not be the solution that we're looking for. So let's ask that question. What is the end goal? When I'm thinking about how to raise my children to be proper Muslims, what is my end goal?
What's an end goal?
Like, what is my objective? Where do I want to end up?
Where is an objective?
What am I aiming for? Where am I going?
To make your child a good person.
Muslim. So then how do I define a good Muslim?
Teaching your child good stuff.
Okay, that's activities. Again, you're making a list. That's one of the things in the list.
You teach your child how to pray, how to namaz, how to read the Quran. You teach them how to do good stuff. And also,
That's all.
Every day for 1 hour, you can talk about something good.
That's all on the list. Those are activities. Those are activities. But then being a good Muslim is defined as somebody who is an abd of Allah. We talked about that yesterday, right? Abd Allah. We talked about...
So we didn't do class yesterday.
The day before. We talked about being an abd, so loving Allah, full obedience to Him, tawakkul in Him, not worshipping anything else. All of those things fall under abd. So my full obedience to Allah, surrendering myself to Allah and His will is what makes me a good Muslim. Correct? And then we also talked about how a slave, the definition of a slave doesn't want to be a slave, but an abd of Allah, because there's so much more to it, wants to be an abd of Allah. But then why and when do I want to be an abd of Allah? When I
pray.
Why? And when do I want to be an abd of Allah? When I understand who He is. When I understand Allah's power. When I understand His majesty. When I understand how big He is. When I understand that He is my Rabb and what He does for me. When I understand all of those things and what He's revealed to me in His book and how that is going to shape my entire life and make my destination Jannah, is when I want to become His abd. So then, if I am just ticking off a list, I'm praying, I'm reciting the Quran, I'm I'm fasting during Ramadan, I'm being nice, but I don't really understand who Allah is. I don't really understand why I need to do what I'm doing, then am I really a good Muslim?
No. I guess no.
If it's not on the inside,
then no.
Then it's definitely not on the...
Then it's useless.
It's useless. I love that. Thank you.
But if you still don't understand because you're still a little boy or girl...
Then there's the flip side. You know why, but you don't believe it. Or you know why, but you don't do it. Which is what Iblis did. Iblis is a very big alim. Right? He knows everything. He knows... He was there when humans were created. When Adam was created.
And he knew that Allah exists.
He still knows that, right?
And he knows He's the leader of the angels.
He used to be the leader of the angels. So what I'm trying to get at here is that what's missing in you and in general across the world, especially in today's children and youth, is they don't understand why they're Muslim. They don't understand why they have to pray. They don't understand why they have to fast. They don't understand who their Rabb is and what He can do and what He does for them on a daily basis.
I don't understand those, but I do understand that He's our Rabb and
exactly.
That stuff.
You don't understand, and that's the journey that we need to begin, and that's why we're having this conversation today. So then why are you Muslim?
I have no idea. I'm Muslim because I learned how to read Arabic.
Exactly. Because you were taught.
And
so you were born into a Muslim family. Your parents are Muslim. And so naturally you're Muslim too. It's like your culture. It's like your culture. It's, oh, I'm Bangladeshi. I belong to Bangladesh. And so my name needs to be Bangladeshi. I need to be able to speak Bangla because you were born into it. And so when you're born into something and you learn something from a very young age, it is what it is.
Same. This was never in my mind. You never taught me this. I forgot. I don't even think you ever taught me this. I have no idea how I learned how to speak Bangla since I was 3, 2, or no, 3,
Okay.
4.
Okay.
When did we learn Bangla?
For sure. And again, that's a topic that we can talk about after the session, correct? So when someone doesn't understand why, so let's say you're a Muslim, you know that you have to pray, but you don't know why. You know that you have to fast, but you don't know why. As you grow older, and these things start to get in the way of your life, so you need to go to college, you need to study, you need to have friends, a social life, and all the other attractive things that we just talked about right at the beginning today, things that are there to keep you busy. When your namaz and your fasting and your, all the other things that you have to do to be a good Muslim get in the way, and you don't understand their importance, you don't understand why, you don't understand who it's for, and you don't understand what value it has in it for you, then what do?
You don't do it.
You don't do it. You get rid of it. And so when you come to, just to give my own example, when I come to a foreign country, a Western country, and I have work on a Friday, but then there's Jum'ah, which I have to attend, but I have work. What's more important?
Jum'ah.
It is more important, but what's more important to me if I don't understand the importance of Jum'ah? It's work. Jum'ah, you know what? I'll just pray Dhuhr. That's fine. I don't need to go to Jum'ah. I'm not going to tell my boss, hey, give me an hour off so I can go pray. That's just weird. He's going to look at me like, where are you going again? You understand what I'm saying? You go to college, or you go to high school, right? You want to look a certain way, you want to talk a certain way, you want to act a certain way, and all your friends are either non-Muslim or not practicing Muslims, and they're having fun and they're talking and you're gossiping, and it's time for Dhuhr.
I don't even know what gossiping means.
Chit-chatting. It's time for Dhuhr, and you want to go pray, and you're thinking, ew, what are my friends going to say? If I say I have to go to you have to go to do what? Oh my God, Zara, are you one of those Islamists? Are you one of those radicalists? Are you turning into an extreme? Oh. And you're like, so one time your friend says that, and the next time you're going to think, I'm not going to say anything. The next time you're going to think, I'm just not going to pray. It's just easier.
You know what you can say? Instead of telling me I need to go pray, you can just say, oh, maybe I have to use the washroom. Just give me a minute. You can just go leave or eat.
Well, then you're lying about it, right?
Well, you can just say, instead of going to the washroom, you can just give me 5 minutes. But don't tell them what you're doing. Just say, give me some 5 minutes.
That's a very serious discussion that you're attempting to bring up, Zaira. We'll have that discussion hopefully in about 2-3 days about what you need to display as a Muslim, what you need to be, whether you can be afraid in front of other people about certain things, or whether you can't. And there are actually ayat about this in the Quran that talk about what we need to display as a Muslim, how we need to act as a Muslim, even in the face of challenges, even in the face of falsehood trying to suppress you, or people trying to oppress you, or people trying to challenge your beliefs, how you're supposed to behave, how you're supposed to talk, and how you're supposed to react to those kind of situations are also there in the Quran.
Same. Hafsa gives me a trunk. She will cry if I just go and have to go pray and stop playing.
Correct.
Comes a different channel.
So, and that brings us to the discussion about, so when we say we want to raise good Muslims, children, people who know and understand why they're Muslim, they're proud to be Muslim, and they understand that there's nothing more important out there, no matter how attractive it might seem, no matter how luring it is, and how everybody else is doing it, but you're not getting to do it, or you're not able to do it because it's either not allowed, or it gets in the way of what you need to do, what is further mandatory for you.
Can I tell
Those
you?
are the kind of people that we need to raise. So when we think about good Muslims, youth today, what are we thinking? What characteristics do we want to see in them? Number one, we want to see that they know why they're Muslim. They know why they're Muslim. Not because their parents are Muslim, but they make that choice, that conscious choice within themselves, that, you know what, I am Muslim because I believe. And they believe, or you believe, because you know, you understand, and you feel it. Number two, they're not ashamed, which what you were saying, they're not ashamed of what their religion requires of them. So they're not ashamed to pray. They're not ashamed to say Alhamdulillah after they sneeze. They are not ashamed to say, hey, you know what, don't offer me food, I am fasting and I can't eat food. Or I can't talk in a certain way. I can't walk in a certain way. I can't wear certain dresses. I have to wear a hijab because that's what my religion requires of me and I want to wear it. So you're not ashamed to say, you don't say, hey, my mom made me wear it. You know what, the moment my she's not going to be there all the time. Baba's not going to be there all the time. And then you have to make that conscious choice that, do I wear hijab or not? Do I don't get to show people my beautiful flowing hair because Allah told me not to. Is a conscious decision that you take because you want to, because you understand the importance of doing that. So what do we say? Number one is children who know why they are Muslim. Number two is children are not ashamed of what their religion requires of them. Wearing the hijab, praying salah, fasting, behaving nicely, not using slang when everybody else is using slang, not watching something, bad words, not watching something that you're not supposed to watch when everybody else is watching it. Hey, did you see that last movie? Oh, you didn't see it? Why not? Because it contains something that goes against my belief. It contains something that I'm not supposed to be seeing. It contains certain language that I don't want to learn. And I've deprived myself of it. That little entertainment is of less value to me than what I'm set to lose if I watch it or if I listen to it.
Also, one time I was in my work. Okay, that was a very long time ago, but it was still this year.
Okay, when I ask you for an example, Zara, give me an example, okay?
Fine.
All right. The third thing, and this is more important. Well, all of them are important, but this is very important. The third thing is that these children, these youth, have made a commitment, a promise to themselves that I am going to continue to learn and grow every single day. I'm never going to say I know enough. I'm never going to say I know why I need to pray. I know enough surahs. I've learned enough of the Quran for me to be good Muslim. Brings up a good question. Where do we learn our Islam from? Where do you learn your Islam from?
I have no idea.
From your parents.
Arabic class.
From your Arabic class. From Quran classes. Right? We're here, we're sitting down, we're talking about Quran. Right? Let's think of a little older. Someone who has a phone will go on their phone and watch a short video, right? 30 seconds of motivation. I've learned my Islam. Some guy on the screen talking about something that he researched on and came up with an opinion about, telling you what it is. Oh, do you know what? So what's the fiqh about? When do we need to actually stop eating for suhoor? Some guy says it's the Fajr Adhan is when you need to stop eating. Some guy says no. It's when the first light of the sun breaks through the horizon is when you need to stop eating for suhoor. Who do you believe?
Just watch because if all of us say so many things, then you're gonna get confused.
Exactly. So who do you believe?
I don't know.
So what do you do?
I don't know. I search it up.
You search it up. Where?
But if you can't find Google or you do video.
On Google, sure. Google is giving you the right information.
Sometimes.
Google will also give you conflicted information. So one scholar will say this, the other scholar will say that. So then what are our two authentic sources? Zara, listen to the question first. What are our two authentic sources to go to when we need to understand or learn something?
One of them is the Quran, but if there's not in the Quran, then it's in the Hadith.
MashaAllah. And remember we talked about Hadith? There's 3 types. There's Sahih, Hasan,
and
Da'if.
Da'if.
So Sahih, strong, very good source, chain of coming down is very strong. We know who told who. And then Hasan is little weaker. Da'if is very weak.
There's a break.
There's a definite break in the chain. So we don't know for sure who told who, or we don't know for sure if even the source that was mentioned is actually authentic, right? Or whether it even goes up to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
He put it back.
So those are two. So when the third thing that we mentioned here is that these children, these youth, they've made a commitment to themselves, a promise to themselves that I am never going to stop growing and learning. I'm never going to stop learning and growing. I'm going to continue to keep coming back to the Quran. I'm going to continue to keep coming back to the Hadith and learn every day. So essentially, the tarbiyah that we need to leave our children with is the connection to their book. And the name of their book is Al-Quran.
It's just Quran.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea.
What does a connection mean? How are you connected to the Quran?
By reading it every day. By understanding the words.
So today, the solution that most people come up with, how do I make my child a good Muslim? I'm going to make them a hafiz of the Quran. And they memorize the entire Quran. And I've seen hafiz of the Quran drinking, partying. They know the Quran. It's a mindless kind of handing down of the Quran from parent to child to parent to child to parent to child. Hey, let's learn the Arabic language. So alif ba ta sa. Let's learn how alif and the jabr and jer and pesh, they make the sounds. So you learn how to make the sounds. You learn how to recite the Quran. You know how to recite the Quran. You have perfect tajweed. You can recite the Quran beautifully. You can lead the Taraweeh prayer. MashaAllah. But you don't understand a single word that Allah told you. But you don't understand a single word in the book that Allah called
Al-Quran.
Huda lil Muttaqeen. Huda lil Muttaqeen means? Huda means?
Connection.
For the light. No. Huda means, well, just mean light in certain ways.
Strong light.
Guidance. Huda lil muttaqin. It is guidance for the muttaqin. The muttaqin, we'll get into the definition of muttaqin some other day. But guidance. How are you supposed to get guidance if you don't even know what it said?
You ask for guidance.
To who?
To Allah. Who else would you ask it to? But sir, the guidance is right here. You can't hear Allah. You ask Allah here.
But you don't even know what it says. You don't even understand what it says. What you're doing when you don't understand is you're reading a translation. So then the Arabic language translated to English or translated to Bengali, you're reading what the translation, but the Arabic language is so much deeper than that. Like we can see as we study the Quran, we see that one word can have 300 different meanings. It can have multiple meanings. The Arabs were a rich nation language-wise. They were poets. They loved. They had words. They had multiple words for the same thing. Like just the word fear has, I think, 12 different words.
I know how many words are for love in Arabic? 14.
How many? 14 words for the word love. Especially things that they gave importance to, they had more words for them. And then more often than not, one word can have different meanings. Like the word fitna, we understand it to be chaos or fighting. But then fitna can also mean the purification of gold. Is called fatanna. Right? It comes from, so fitna comes from the word fatanna. It's derived from a certain word. And so that meaning of fatanna is embedded in the word fitna. When Allah uses it in the Quran, He uses it in different forms. In one place He means one thing, in a different place He means a little something different. But when we're reading the translation of the Quran in English, it's translated as the same thing. Fitna means bad, fitna means fighting, fitna means chaos. But fitna means also test. Fitna means the purification of a Muslim, Allah putting you through something extreme so that you become purified, so that you become a good Muslim, you become closer to Him, is also fitna. In our language, in our culture, fitna means
I don't know.
Bad, like the ultimate bad. And fitna is only the kafir do fitna. Nobody else does fitna. And that fitna is used in this form in Surah Al-Baqarah. But then in another surah, Allah uses it in the form of to purify the Muslim, putting that person through extreme tests. But the translation says the same thing. It says the same thing. And so when you go in there and you're reading it, you're reading the translation, are you understanding the true meaning of what Allah is saying? No. You're getting a manipulated, almost false image of what Allah really is saying in the Quran. And that's where all these misconceptions arise from.
I don't understand.
You don't understand what?
The thing you're saying. I hear nothing.
The basic thing I'm saying, Sarah, is that one word in Arabic in the Quran can be used in different ways, but they're translated as the same.
Yeah. Okay.
They're translated as the same word again and again and again, but they're different. They're used actually by Allah in different places, in different ways to mean different things. When you're reading the Quran translation, you're getting that one translated meaning, which can lead to a misconception as to what Allah is saying. Number one. Number two, the ayah of the Quran are all interconnected. The surah is kind of a unit. Then the previous surah and the surah after are kind of linked together. Then there are groups of surahs. Then there's Makki surahs, there's Madini surahs. Right? They're all interconnected in ways that we don't really understand. And then there are contexts in which these ayah came down. There's context in which these ayah came down. Like the ayah where Allah says, kill them where you find them. Was a specific context about a specific incident in the life of the Prophet. And that ayah was meant for that situation only. But then that can be misused.
Why is it?
It can be misused. Oh, Allah said that in the Quran. Did He really? Yeah. It's right there. But because you're not really studying the Quran, you're not studying the history, the context of where, when, and where that ayah came down in the seerah of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is why you're not understanding what that ayah is truly telling you. You understand what I'm saying? So then what does connecting to your book actually mean? What does connected?
What you're saying.
Learning in depth. So the language of Arabic, not just being able to read, but being able to understand. Learning the grammar of Arabic. Reading tafsir, reading the seerah of the Prophet, the study that the effort that you need to put in by yourself to become what I would call, in my perspective, in my opinion, a basic fundamental level of knowledge about the Quran needs to be there in every Muslim today.
Why?
Especially the youth. I just told you why. Because then, otherwise, you're getting the wrong concept. Number 2, if you do that, then you start to connect to your book in ways you've never been able to do. And then you truly understand the meaning of what Allah said when He said, Hudal lil muttaqin. You truly understand what He meant when He says there's guidance in it for you. This is the guidance. This is it. You want to be guided? You want to be a good Muslim? You want to succeed in the afterlife? Allah, where do I go? It's right there sitting on your shelf. It's the Quran. Don't just open it. Don't recite it. Yes, recite it. That has its function too. But then what you're not doing, and remember we talked about this a few days ago when we were discussing Surah Al-Mulk. What did the Kafirs say that they didn't do when they're being thrown into hell? That picture that Allah painted in Surah Al-Mulk, as the Kafirs are being, in the disbelievers are being thrown into hell. They're hearing the sounds of hellfire. They're hearing the roar of hell, and they're being asked by the guardian angels of hell, did no warner come to you? What do they say?
They did, but we didn't. We just denied it.
We denied it. We said you're liars. Allah didn't reveal anything, but what else did we not do?
They didn't believe without thinking. No, we didn't think and we didn't listen.
We didn't listen. We denied, basically, and we didn't think.
We didn't think. I was about to say that after we...
So knowledge is one thing. You gain the knowledge. This is what Allah said. But then you also have to do the tadabbur. You have to sit down in sessions like this and really dig deep into what did Allah mean by saying this in this ayah. And then you start to truly connect. When you bring the listening and the thinking together is when it starts to become, it comes into...
I want to be connected to my book.
It comes into your heart. And that's when you start to gain the guidance. Yes, guidance. Allah says, I guide who I want. I give light. My light, when my light meets their light, He says in Surah An-Nur, Nurun ala nur. When my light meets their light is when they're truly guided. Who Allah gives His light to, whose light is going to meet Allah's light is up to, it's up to Allah. But then just like He said to Maryam alayhi salam, shake the tree. Did she need to shake the tree? Allah could have given her dates anyways. But she had to
Shake it.
Allah told Musa alayhi salam, strike the water. Did he need to strike the water for Allah to part the water? No. But Musa alayhi salam had to do his part. Maryam alayhi salam had to do her part. Just like that, you have to do your part. You go to the book. You try to gain the guidance. Is when Allah's light is going to meet your light, inshallah.
You can't just ask. Hear it now. It means you can't just ask Him.
Alhamdulillah. We didn't actually get to talk about the ayah, and I don't think we have enough time to do that today. Hopefully we'll do that another day. So this ayah was basically ayah number 24 of Surah Ibrahim, where Allah is talking about, He was talking straight to the Prophet and asking, do you not see, like the good word is like a tree that has deep roots and its branches reach the sky. It's a deep discussion, but my objective today was to kind of to talk about the tarbiyah that we need to leave our children with, the tarbiyah that we need to give to our children, the education that we need to give to our children to become good Muslims. Not teach them just to be a hafiz of the Quran, not teach them just how to pray, not teach them how to fast, when to fast, but also why. But also, don't not. My objective is not to give you a fish. My objective is to teach you how to fish. If you don't know how to fish, when I'm gone, you're not going to be able to catch a fish. So if I'm not giving you the source of the knowledge, and if I'm not giving you the ways to understand, the means to understand that knowledge, to gain that knowledge for yourself, and if you're not putting in that effort, and I'm not inspiring you to put in that effort, to gain that knowledge, to go in there, to listen and do the tadabbur, then I am not leaving you with anything. Again, that comes to that ayah. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to link that to the good word. The good word, the seed that I'm planting, the tree that Allah talks about, the seed that I'm planting in you, is that this is your job. I am just showing you
how to do it.
The direction, where you need to look. Where do you need to look?
To the Quran.
The Quran and the
Hadith.
MashaAllah. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Quran al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Who gets the